is the Medusa Multi-Touch. This is actually very exciting stuff. Very few people talk about this kind of marketing. The ones who do obviously are really at the top of their game, and there's very good reason why. If you don't know what a multi-touch system is when it comes to marketing, it's very simple. It's being able to make contact with your potential clients and do so several times, right? Now, it doesn't matter where or how, you can use multiple different channels of communication, we'll call them, such as email or voicemail, using the phone, using social media accounts, using direct mail. There's all different kinds of ways. And so what this is the Medusa Multi-Touch actually combines all of those and somewhat automates. It's not 100% automated, but this is automated enough that you could actually hand to an outsourcer or to an employee and have them do it for you at some point if you didn't feel like you wanted to do this any longer. The great news is this process is so easy, or so simple I should say, starting out, that you can do it yourself within the first 30 minutes to an hour of your day. You don't have to run it every day. You just need to run it whenever you need more leads or whenever you're expanding into a city. So it's actually pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to get started, and actually I'm just going to go over all the resources, and then I'm going to show you how I take care of the process, which is just a personal preference. So first thing we've got to do, we've got to select our vertical. And so if you have your vertical selected already, you've already been cloning your cities or doing your city clones. You've already listed out your targeted cities, so you know exactly where you're expanding into, which is great. The only thing we have left to do now is get lead data, and then we start the multi-touch process, actually, where we submit to contact forms on websites. We do voicemail drops. We send emails. We send social media account messages, and then we send direct mail, which I'll go over those resources again. So the first thing we want to look at is gathering lead data. So there's a few different resources. There's Reference USA. Let's see where that site is. Reference USA. That's not it. That's not it. There we go. Reference USA. So here we are in Reference USA. You can see this is basically Info USA, but just free, okay? And libraries participate in this. Public libraries in the United States. I'm not sure if it's a worldwide thing. I just know for sure it's a U.S. based thing. So library locator, that's where you want to go after you scroll all the way down. You want to see which libraries are participating near you, and once you find one, obviously go get a library card. And once you have your card, you can actually gain access to the back office of the site. So you just punch in your zip and it'll tell you that, right? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to punch in my library card details and show you the back office of Reference USA. It should remind you a lot of Info USA because it's pretty much the same data. The only difference is it's not. I'm selecting U.S. businesses here. It's not the same data because of the email addresses. You don't get email addresses. So I'm going to click on Advanced Search, and you can see here there's so many different things you can select from, just like in Info USA. So geography, so you can go after city state, you can go after a map base or zip code base, however you want to go after. You can get business phone numbers. You can target the person you want to talk to, what their title is, right? You can even get their name. You can start with only verified records, right? This is a really great resource, and they allow you to download up to 250 records at one time. But if you have let's say a list of 3,000, you can download all 3,000 in that same session. It's just you're going to have what is 3,000 divided by 250, so that's 12 files that are CSV based that you'll just have to copy paste from each one into one. Kind of a pain in the butt, but you'll get all your records, and it's a steal because it's free 99, right? It's free. Whereas Info USA is going to be 50, 60 cents a record, and yeah, they give you the email, but not all their records have email addresses. So pretty cool way to get some leads here on the cheap if you're US based. And then there's my favorite way, which is Scrapebox. And so let me show you what that looks like. Scrapebox, where are you? Here it is. So Scrapebox, if you've not heard of it, it's just a massive scraper tool. It does all kinds of different things. I'm not even going to go into it. There's a lot, just huge amounts of resources for support and training on this thing, which is why I don't cover any of it. I'm actually going to show you at the end of this video, or the last half of this video, me going and getting leads, and I'm using Scrapebox, so I'll show you my process. I'm not going to support that or cover support on that because Scrapebox has plenty for you to pick from. Plus, you'll have an over-the-shoulder view of me actually doing it, right? So there should be no questions that I would need to field for Scrapebox. The good news is you can actually get some of the software. There's a guy named King Warrior. Matter of fact, if I type in his address now, kingwarrior.co, you'll actually see he's got all kinds of stuff that's at a discount level. So if we were to go to search the site and do Scrapebox, what you would find is discounts for those. So Scrapebox premium plugins and the Scrapebox discounts. So instead of paying $200 almost, you could actually pay like 125 or something like that. It's not too bad. You know, a couple, $80 of savings there right off the bat. And they also have King Warrior also has Proxy Hub discounts as well. So if I type in Proxy Hub, you'll see Proxy Hub discount. You actually save 15%, which is pretty handy. So, and we do use Proxy Hub. That is something that we're going to be using. So Scrapebox, you're going to want if you do Scrapebox, you're going to want the actual Scrapebox software plus the premium plugins that they have, and you'll find that here. Premium plugins, you can see again they sell it for $100. So instead of buying straight from Scrapebox, you can always buy from kingwarrior.co, and he'll hook you up. He's got some kind of a deal set up where he sets people up manually, and it's a legit account too, for both or for everything, and it's just cheap. It's just cheaper. So use that to your advantage. Scrapebox we're going to be using. You can also use Manta. So Manta is a great way to get some leads. You can just type in your vertical and then the location you're targeting, and just start pulling up business owners' information. Using Manta. It's a little bit more manual and tedious, but it's still possible to do. And then, of course, you've got Google search. So you can see up here I typed in pest control Nashville. So you would just do your vertical and then the city and state that you want to target in on. So those are the resources we use for research. Now, for submitting to contact forms, actually Scrapebox handles that. They have a separate little piece of Scrapebox that does that. Like I said, it's a massive software that does so much stuff, as you'll see later on in the video. But then there's also another service called PyGumbot, and this is, again, I don't offer support on this software or anything. I do have it, I do use it, and this is specifically a contact form submitter, and it does generate social media accounts as well. Scrapebox does that, PyGumbot does that. So either way you go, for the contact submissions, contact form submissions, you'll be able to pretty much semi-automate that, which is kind of nice. Because I know a lot of people out there that do this, that are doing this by hand or having a VA go through and do them one by one. Whereas this service or this software rather, or Scrapebox, can both go out there and submit multiple instances of this of your message to a contact form and get the same result, only just a lot faster. Okay, and with no hiring out to a VA if you don't want to when you start out. So pretty cool stuff there. And again, for these two software, you're going to PyGumbot and Scrapebox. You're going to want Proxy Hub proxies. You're going to probably go after the dedicated. So if we just click here to buy proxies, you can see they've got semi-dedicated, and then they've got dedicated. You're going to want to go after the dedicated. If you're asking me what I'm running the 100 private proxies. You don't have to do that. I just do that because I do a lot of running, okay? Especially for testing and whatnot. So I've seen people start with 10. I've seen people start with 20. It just depends on how many cities, how fast you're going to scale. If you're doing 5 cities a week, which is a pretty damn awesome growth rate, 10 to 20 proxies should be all that you need. And remember, that King Warrior code discount for Proxy Hub is not included into the price that you see here, so it's actually cheaper. I think I pay, instead of 185, I think I pay like 157 or something like that. So it's actually a pretty friggin' sweet deal And the Proxy Hub has a great deal where if some of your proxies go bad, you can exchange them. They've got an exchange program for dead proxies, so it's kind of nice like that. Dead IPs, dead proxies. So Proxy Hub, pretty cool stuff there. That's for submitting contact forms, what you'll need. Now, for dropping voicemails or voicemail drops, however you want to say that, there's two services I recommend. One's called Sly Broadcast. Everybody kind of knows that one. I do use that one. And then there's Leads Rain. Leads Rain's a little less known, but they're still pretty good. They're pretty competitive on pricing, and it's the same concept, right? Just a different platform. I wanted to give you multiple options to be able to drop your voicemails. Now, for sending email, you're going to use Gmail or a manual email delivery, right, or any kind of mailer software. There is a mailing software that I use. It's called Auto Mail Sender. I'll show it to you really quick. It's like, I think it's like $50, but it works really well. So all you got to do is set up your template, which your template should be in the Fort Lauderdale page, or the Battle of Fort Lauderdale page, which this video is on. So you can see they've got this fake template here. All you got to do is just load in your template, load up the emails, and that's it. You're set. Now, for social media accounts, you're gonna either enter those in manually or use a software. So I don't have any recommended software for social media accounts because I usually don't have to reach this point. Believe it or not, I usually don't reach this point for this part of the multi-touch. But if you do have software out there already, or if you have recommendations, you feel free to share that in the group. But basically, you want to be able to send out social media messages either manually or use a software to do it. So you're going to be able to gather information on Pinterest accounts and Facebook accounts and LinkedIn accounts. So no matter what your specialty is in social media, if you have one, or if you're good at all the sites, that's great. You'll be able to get a lot of lead data from what we're about to do on the grabbing the information when we go and do that, and you'll see me do that. So the next bit we have is actually sending direct mail. So a lot of you are probably like, oh man, direct mail, that sounds expensive. And well, listen, we're only talking about qualified or even just semi-qualified people that are highly targeted for you making them a client and doing business with them, right? So this is a very key point here. You've got companies like Bond Co., where you can they actually show you the process. It's handwritten, but it's handwritten on a machine. I know that sounds kind of funny. Their handwriting it's not really a font more than it is just someone actually programming this machine to write like a human would. It's pretty neat. And of course, they send these out for like $5 a piece, which is really great. I mean, it's let's see if I can find the pricing here. Send notes. Here we go. Send notes. There we go. So you can see $5 a recipient. That's it. Okay. So if you were branching into a city and you knew a city was worth one city clone is worth like $2,000 profit a month if you had one client driving all the leads to them, sending out to 100 people, to 100 qualified people, and getting by the way, handwritten notes always get a great response in direct mail. I mean, I've got a template that's really great that comes from somewhere else, from someone else that's in the paper lead business, and they do very well with this template and shared it. And so this template does very well to get results. And so you put that in the handwriting format and send it off direct mail. That personal touch gets you a huge response rate. It's not like your typical direct mail 1, 2, or 3% response rates. You're going to get pretty good response rates if you use targeted data, accurate data to mail to, right? So bond.co, that's one, and then there's MailLift, maillift.com. They're the same, pretty much same type of service anyway. If you're doing per piece, it's like $5. If you're doing a little more than 200, you're going to do a little bit less but there's a setup fee, right? So as you go along, it gets a little cheaper, but they've got setup fees. Okay, so just be aware of that. I like the small orders. The small orders are usually the way to go for that. And the best part about this direct mail and the multi-touch, almost always, I never have to use this unless I just feel like using it, which is pretty nice. I mean, The multi-touch, that just shows you how powerful this can be if you implement each piece in succession, and you get to the social media accounts and you don't even have to do them or send the direct mail. You haven't even used your entire arsenal. It's almost like having that nuclear bomb just on standby. You don't have to use it, but you know it's there, and it's pretty cool to have those last two, the social media accounts and the direct mail, just for future use, or however you want to use those. But those are the services we use in the Medusa Multitouch. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get lead data. So I'm going to go and open up Scrapebox and show you how I do that. Scrapebox has this nifty little plug-in. It's part of their premium plugins feature. It's a Yellow Pages scraper. It's my favorite Yellow Pages scraper. There are plenty of Yellow Pages scrapers out there, but I like the one from Scrapebox. So a lot of people ask me what I end up using, and I just tell them straight out, hey, this is what I'm using, and I'll show you. So once we're here, obviously you want to go to Premium Plugins, Yellow Page Scraper. If you don't see Yellow Page Scraper and you just bought Scrapebox, for example, you want to click on the plugins there and make sure that it's installed, updated. So when you select it, you can see mine's installed. This one I haven't installed. This one I haven't installed. That one I haven't purchased yet, right? So it depends on if you have this installed or updated yet, right? But Premium Plugins, Yellow Pages Scraper, it's going to open up a whole new window for me here in a second. Does take a little bit of time. There we go. Okay, and I've already loaded my proxies in. I'm just going to select yellowpages.com, and I'm going to scrape all that data, and I'm just going to try Miami, and we're going to go with Miami, Florida, just like that. And keywords, I'm going to do pest control. Okay, and I'm going to hit start. I'm going to leave it on 3 connections. Timeout 15 is good, and I'm just going to hit start. Now, I'm not actually going to run this entire thing out. I'm just going to grab a few results and show you what it does from here and what we can do from here. But this is basically how I grab my initial data set. Okay, so now that I've got my data, I'm just going to hit stop. It's obviously way early. It could have scraped way more. And what I want to do is I actually just want to export all those records, and I'm going to save them. And I'm going to save them in just my downloads folder, and I'm going to do, what is this? This is pest control, Yellow Pages. Hit save, and then I'm going to actually I should have filtered those. I apologize. So basically, and I'll just show you this. I'm not actually going to go and do this now, but once you have your list, it's going to be usually in the hundreds or thousands, right? You want to remove duplicates for business names, remove them. What I typically do is remove them for the zip, remove them for the phone and the website and the email. So like the common field points where there might be a duplicate, I want to remove those. And so once I've filtered, then I can go and export. But since I've already exported, and this is just an example, just make sure you filter before you export. And then I'm going to exit out of here, and now I'm going to load in my URLs here. So I'm going to import URL list. Oh, I forgot a very key point. The URL list, I actually have to upload the URL list and copy paste it into a text file. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. So let me scroll down here, pest control. I'm going to copy it over just like that. And oh, I opened it the wrong way. Let me back out of that. Right click, open Google Sheets. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and open Notepad while that's getting up and going. Boom. All right. Now there's my sheets. So what I want to do is I want to grab the URLs, right? So website, what I want to do is click here, Control Copy, and go to this Notepad, Control V. And if I scroll all the way up, copied everything, even though there's only 43 records. Gotta love Google Sheets. Alright, here we go. Where are they at? There they are. Okay, so you can see there's blank spaces and whatnot. I'll show you how to handle that. I'm just going to save this as downloads. Let's see, I'm going to save this as pest control URLs. Okay, that's what they are, pest control URLs. Boom. Now, once I have this file, I can also go and load into voicemails, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just going to leave this file open, and I'll show you what that looks like in Slide Broadcast, because that's one of the ones that I use. All right. So I'll just sign in real quick, and then I'll come back to Scrapebox, and now I've got my list that I can actually import. I'm going to look for the pest control URLs. There it is. Boom. Alright, so now I've got these loaded in, but there's spaces and there's probably duplicates. That's okay. I just go here, I remove duplicate URLs. Now I've got 31 instead of 43. Remove duplicate domains. That took out 2 more. Remove URLs not containing, and then I'm going to put H, because every domain, every URL listed has HTTP, right? So I'm just going to put H in there and watch what happens. There goes all the spaces. Yay, there goes all the spaces. Okay, so now all the spaces are gone. I've got a good list of URLs. What I want to do is I actually want to export this list, and so I'm going to export as a text, and this is something I'm going to save in downloads. I'm going to save it as a pest control, and it's going to be URLs final. So now I know this is my final list of like deduped and cleaned up list of URLs. Now, so I've got my URLs, I've got my phone numbers, I've got the business name and everything. All I need to do now is go and actually use an add-on, which an add-on, these are free. You just got to add them and show available add-ons if you don't have it in your list in your drop-down. But I want the social account scraper, and this is what I use to grab social accounts. So PyGonBot does it as you submit contact forms, but I like to use this one. So we're going to load from the Scrapebox Harvester, which is what our URLs were in, and then I'm going to hit start. And watch how fast this thing grabs URLs, or I mean social accounts. It's crazy. It's done. It's already done. So I can export that. I'm going to export that into downloads, and this is going to be pest control social. All right, boom. There's all the social accounts for all the URLs. And again, this is for Miami, right? So it'd probably be under a Miami folder, right? I'd create a Miami folder, and with that Miami folder, I'd have the social, the URLs, the URL final file, all those files, those 3 files, would be inside of the folder that I made, and I typically do that inside of my Google Drive, right? Now, the other thing we can do is we can actually take these URLs and then go and grab emails from this local list. And so I'm going to where is it? Grab emails from crawling sites. Here we go. And I'm going to leave it at 2, and then I'm just going to hit start. Okay, it's going to actually go out and process each of these domains, these URLs that I put in there, and grab emails. Okay, not all of these are going to be accurate, but I can guarantee you one thing: there are going to be email addresses attached to these sites, and I want to grab them and be able to send to them my email template. Right? It just gives me again another way to reach out to people, and that's what we want to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. This process usually takes a little bit longer. And then once it's stopped, it'll save the file here. What you can do is you can actually save URLs with emails, or you can go to the data folder. This is what I like to do, and then just grab that's today's folder. So it timestamps it, but you can just copy this, add it to your downloads. Where's the downloads at? There we go, downloads, and just Control V, paste it in there. There it is, and then rename it. So this is what we would rename it. We'd rename it. What were we doing? We were doing emails. So this is pest control emails, and of course this would go in our Miami file. So we know that it's Miami emails for pest control company, right? So you can see how Scrapebox makes it really easy to just stay in one place and grab all the data pretty quickly, as quick as this video training is for the most part. The rest is just waiting on the software to actually process, right? Very few actual steps to do here. Now, when we do contact form submissions, so we've got our data, right? The way I do it anyway, right? So I'm just showing you the way I do it. We have contact forms, so we can actually submit to contact forms by using and again, Scrapebox has training covering this. I'm actually, it's after hours, so I'm not going to be submitting any contact forms during this video. But you can look up the training and support and tutorials that I've listed on this page, the Battle of Fort Lauderdale page, and it will point you in the right direction for submitting to contact forms. You just want to make sure that that button is selected, and you load up your URLs and load in your data fields and hit go. That's it. So that's how you submit your contact forms. Now, with contact forms submitted, the next thing we have to do in our multi-touch process is phone numbers. So I'm actually going to come back to this list here, and I'm going to grab those, control copy, just like that. I've logged into my Sly broadcast, right? And so I'm going to go to, what is it, manage lists. And you can see here, I mean, the 3 niches I'm in for my local client case study. You've probably already seen those from the file list, file names and everything, but no hiding anything there, right? I've actually created 10 different cities for 3 different verticals that I'm going to be branching into for the case study. So the first thing is we've got to actually set up a new campaign. Now, we want to choose a new file, an audio file. If you want to go ahead and load the numbers first, you just want to come up here, add manage audio files, and then numbers is where you manage lists, and then create a list. So once you hit the create a list button, you come over here, you copy paste, and then you can upload a file too if you want, but I just like to copy paste since that file is already open, and I'm going to call it pest control and Miami. That's important to know, right? What city and what vertical. And then I'm going to hit save. And it says, oh, look, you created a list with 36 phone numbers. So if we go back to our list, you'll see Pest Control Miami. I can delete it, edit it, change the name of it, whatever I want to do. So when we go in, we make a new campaign or schedule a campaign. So new campaign, we just pick out the audio file, which you're going to want to use the template that's on this page as well. You'll see it below the video or off to the side. I'll make sure that it's very clear to see what it is. These are the message templates that I use for voicemail drops. I use them for when I answer the phone, basically. When I send out an email, it's all the same message. It's all the same message, and it works really well to start the conversation out. So obviously I would have an audio file. I would select that and then just schedule the campaign. You can actually schedule these things, and you can see here I don't have anything on the schedule yet, but that's okay. That's how you take care of the voicemail drops, or how I do it anyway, inside of Sly Broadcast. From this point, we'd want to send an email, and so I actually use the AutoMail sender, which I showed you that software earlier, right over here. That's what I would use to automate out my sending, because it's usually going to be a few hundred email addresses. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you want to make sure you kind of hit the right email addresses there in that targeted area with your message about your leads that you have. From that, I always get responses from just those 3. So from contact form submissions, sending emails direct, and doing voicemail drops, you're going to get plenty of leads. You won't most likely have to dive into the social media account messaging. I personally just do that manually, or have somebody do that for me manually if I need to go to that. And then the direct mail is very easy to set up. You just load in your list that you've gotten from Reference USA or from your Yellow Pages list here, which what I would do is pull from these addresses here. Boom, you've got yourself an address you can mail to. And so that's how you send out the direct mail pieces. So that's a quick overview of how I really quickly actually gather the data for each city clone that was created, and am able to just reach out to a lot of people really quickly, where it might take someone that's hired out of VA maybe a couple of days to go through and submit and grab this data, submit to it using the contact form manual process and all that. I'm able to go in literally in a few minutes, within a half an hour to an hour, and totally hit everything in that city, or damn near everything in that city, and walk away with a couple of clients by the time it takes them to just get their message out. Obviously, even if they're using the exact same message for effectiveness, they're just not going to be as effective as me, because I'm much more efficient. And now that you've watched this video training and you have these process maps, you're much more efficient, and that's the point. I'm cutting your learning curve down by I can't even calculate how much the learning curve is being cut down here, but I know it's by a lot. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. There are a lot of people out there that are still doing this. They're actually lead pros, and they're still doing this manually or very non-automated, and this is at the very least semi-automated with the ability to go fully automated depending on who you put who you put in charge of this thing. So that's pretty cool. Hope you got a lot of value out of these videos and how to put this thing together. And the only thing I'm going to ask of you at this point is that you actually take action on this. I don't give two shits if it's not uh, perfect. I don't care if it's perfect. I want you to take action and then come back to me, right? If you've got issues with a software, something like that, obviously you're going to want to talk to the software company and not me about that kind of thing, including how to do the processes. Like, they've got excellent training, start to finish, on how to use the software. What I would do is use me in support, use me and our support team for getting the answers that you need that are around closing the clients, around your scenarios, things like that. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. Software, leave that to the software people, right? I use the software, yes, but let's utilize our time and be the most efficient that we can, and send your support quest for software and whatnot over to them for the process questions and for actually getting some ideas and input on getting clients and whatnot. Send those through support, or if you want group feedback, obviously you can hit the Facebook group for that as well, the AdWords Facebook group. So hopefully, again, that this training's been valuable for you and shows you start to finish how I do things. But I've given you several options to where you can pick basically from completely manual and near free to the Mac Daddy setup, right, with 100 proxies and running multiple software to just jam this thing out, right? So that's pretty, hopefully pretty encouraging to you, and shows you just how unlimited this thing really is potential-wise. So all you got to do is get out there and get after it. That's all I ask. Get out there, make something happen. Make some mistakes and come back to me, and I will help you make them right. And if we can't make them right, we'll learn from them, and I'll show you how to come back even bigger and better from learning those lessons. So it's all about taking that action. So again, grateful to be here, grateful to serve you, and hope you got a lot of value out of this.